quaint shack with four wooden columns supports my home in Needham Woods. The wooden stairs creak as I jog up onto the porch. I swing the o- I swing the door open and snatch my quill pen after slinging my soiled cloak across the room. The messy shack overflows with old books and half-written fables on parchment. I snake through a unique wa- I, stra- I snake through a unique path I snake through a unique walkway shaped by my books in my tiny abode. Seizing one of the blank parchments from a drawer, I sit down on my squeaky stump and table in the middle of the room. After dipping the quill in purple ink, my quick scribbling fills the paper. I become lost in memories and passion after brainstorming for a very long time. Violet spatter ink is streaky, disappearing quickly on paper. My dear, what are you writing? Vena Volkova. My dear, what are you writing? Vena Volkova, a member of the battle, questions me, easing through the door. The sound of her heels of the sound of her heels on the fragile wooden floor echoes through the little shack. I, she waves the rein off her elephant ear plant, then she saunters to me. I look up at her, alarmed, unsure of the time, but it is dark outside. I thought you already ate today. I, I, I didn't know you would be coming here this late, I reply, glancing down at my written work. My cheeks burn as I quickly roll up the parchment. How was the initiation today? I ask, shoving the parchment into the drawer. Vena peers over my shoulder. Writing for a tramp, I see. Vena growls, yanking the paper. I feel Vena push her hip near my decrepit stump. Vena! Vena! I yell as the stump slides sideways. I reach for the parchment, but it is too late. She stares down at the blank parchment. Weren't you, weren't you writing something just now? She questions. Merely attempting to write. Are you hungry? I say. Vena's always hungry. She threatens me with the she threatens me with squinted eyes. Then Vena paces around me. Something feels peculiar. You're up to something, she questions. Darling, what could I be up to? "Oh, I'm concentrating on writing spectacular lessons for the battle," I respond, throwing my hands in the air. She peers intently at my face. I know I'm attractive, but being trustworthy is not what I'm known for. One of my one of my eyebrows twitches. My long nose quivers as I nervously stare back at her. I'm hungry and exhausted, Venna finally says, gingerly touching her violet spider's abdomen. Dark circles form around Venna's eyes. I relax in my chair. I knew she was going to ask for food. I'll get the soup ready in the cauldron, I reply, rising out of my chair. She removes a black robe, revealing a baby blue satin dress. Strolling over to my bed, Venna plops onto the soft bedding and stretches out her legs. Placing her hands on her stomach, she focuses on the ceiling of the shack. My head is aching from my violet spider. I couldn't ignore it today, she says. She turns her head towards me. The violet spider settles down near her ear. Venna flicks one of the legs of the violet spider. The nasty creature digs its fangs deeper into her skull. You pest, she screams, touching the bruised skin underneath the spider's fangs. I roll my eyes and pour water into a soot-colored pot. Leave it alone, Venna. Leave it alone, Venna, I grumbled. Violet spiders are tricky, just like their ink. The creature is probably draining her of the creature is probably draining her of life at this very moment. Grabbing charcoal-colored wood out of my cupboard, I drop it into the pot. Bubbles levitate to the surface, and the water transforms into purple goo. I stir the concoction with a ladle and dump in a sticky, gooey substance. The slime drips down the jar into the hot liquid. Not too much sap. It makes me feel queasy, Vanna says, still struggling with her violet spider. Shush, she needs this sap after today. I respond. Who has joined the battle? Who has joined the battle? I continue while stirring the soup. Lydia Adam, but she is very tolerable and desperate, she says with a huff. What? I stammer, dropping my ladle in the pot. I hope Glandon can rule over his dreadful daughter, Timber. The height of the the height of that girl bothers me, Vanna continues. What did you say? Lydia Adam offered her daughter? My eyes grow wide, but I avoid looking at Vanna. Yes, Anale. Yes, Anale, she replies. The bright girl with the red hair? I question again. How do you know what color her hair is? You were commanded by Methusela to stay away from the people of Lenore. I've heard rumors. I murmur. Rumors, eh? Venna questions. She sits up and digs her nails into my bed. From whom exactly? She continues. There are other member there are other members of the battle I chit chat with. I'm not a complete hermit, I say. My eyes look down to the wooden floor. I don't see how you have time. I don't see how you have the time since you have to gather new. I don't see how you have the time since you have to gather new bark and evergreen cones every other day. And with your lessons due, that is a feat. Venna responds. Your reasoning may be off because of Methusela's request for another battle member. The stress and all, I reply, tilting my head at Venna as if she were ill. Venna continues to stare at me and then finally flops back onto my bed. Placing her hand back on her forehead, she rubs her temple. What would I do without you? Well, what would I do without you? She sighs, referring to me. I smile at her and pour the purple soup into a bowl. Consumed with relief, I hand the bowl and spoon to Vanna. We were in control until Methuselah decided she needed more power. Vanna grumbles, slurping the purple goo. My love, Methuselah will receive an offering soon, and we will remain immortal. Now sleep, I say solemnly, sitting down on my stump to look at her. Vanna's eyelids flutter for several moments until she falls asleep. Good, now I can write, I whisper. I whip up the same parchment I was writing on before and dip my quill pen into the ink bottle. I write some words down. Moments go by until someone knocks on the door. I glance at Benna to check if she is disturbed by the noise. Still asleep? No one in the north knows about my small home except the Prater and Prometheus. Prometheus lives in Nilam Woods too, but rarely visits me. I scramble to open the door before the person knocks again. Prometheus, what is the cause of your visitation? I demand, yanking the trick knob to open my door. I inhale a sharp gasp. A brown boy, the doctor's son, glares at me. He's holding a jar full of lightning bugs. The jar is risky, especially at night. Where are the horsemen? Probably not doing their trade. Malachi? Malachi? I yell, jumping back into my shack. I press hard against the door to prevent the boy from coming into my home. Malachi pushed the G knob back. Malachi pushed the G knob back towards his body. How do you know my How do you know my name? He grunts, jerking on the door. Who are you? Malachi continues to questions me. Who are you? Malachi continues to question me. He fights to pry he fights to pry the door open. I'm pulling the trick knob towards myself so he won't get in. He flies into the door with a loud thud when I stop tugging. Ouch, Malachi yells, massaging his injured shoulder. Shh, shh, I shush him, placing one finger to his lips. After gently closing the front door, I grab Malachi's arm and drag him onto the porch. I feel Malachi whip me by the waist. He hurls me down. The porch rattles as Malachi thrusts his forearm into my side. Now tell me who you are, he shouts, pushing my shoulders down onto the porch. I clutch onto Malachi's shoulder and fling him across the shack's porch. Panicked, I stand up and open the door to check on Vanna. I blow out a large sigh. Vanna is still asleep. Come with me. We need to have a little talk, I advise quietly, after securing Vanna's dormant state. Now, you need to tell me who you are first, Malachi replies, standing and dusting the dirt from his clothes. You stubborn weed, keep your voice down. One of the party members is inside and could kill you if she saw you. I reply angrily, but in a low voice. You mean Vanna? I followed her here, Malachi asserts, stepping up to my face. I jerk Malachi's arm and shake his body. You have some nerve to follow a party member. A typical king. A typical king. And to dodge the horseman? The horseman got the night off because of the initiation. Why didn't Vanna tell you that? And my name is Malachi, which you already know. Malachi snarls back at me. Now he is frowning at me. He doesn't budge when I smile back at him. I cannot help but feel tickled by his intensity. You are a riot, I chuckle. I like you, I continue, hoping my laughter will ease his nerves. You did answer. You didn't answer my question, Malachi replies impatiently. Phineas Luke, I laugh. My name is Phineas Luke. Wait, you mean the weak man who was Wait, you mean the Wait, you mean the weak man who sought immortality in the child's fable? He replies. Weak? I never thought of myself as a weak man. I ignore his weak I ignore his comment about my stature. It's not a fable or a child's story. It is the truth. Not only did I seek immortality, but I am immortal. Phineas says, I don't believe you. Liar, he responds. You're right about one thing, I am a liar. But when it comes to my name and who I am, that is not a lie, I add, wiggling my finger in front of Malachi's face. Show me then. Show me that you are immortal and you are Phineas Luke. Malachi challenges me. He is overwhelming me with commands. Here, let me make this clearer for you, I say, removing a quill pen from my pocket. See? Now do you believe me? I wave it in front of Malachi's face. Is the feather quill pen is the feather quill pen Prometheus gave me from the story? Malachi frowns at me with his arms crossed. There was a quill Prometheus gave you? I don't know if I remember him giving you anything, Malachi says. It's in the creation of the Norse story. It was a full it was a full lesson in the arbitrary. Do you even pay attention? I continued to badger him by waving the quill in front of his face. I'm not sure if he listens to the Bradley's lessons or not. I've always wondered if people of the North listen to the lessons presented in the arbitrary. Yeah, I may be. Yeah, I may have snoozed off a up. Oh, I am. A little pause. Yeah, I may have I may have snoozed off a couple of times during the practice lessons or when my father tells stories to Bazenia. Malachi's response to me, slightly rolling his eyes. At least he told the truth. His tone sounds like he is uninterested in the lessons. That is a little irritating. Turning my back on Turning my back on Malachi, I rubbed my bald head in frustration. Our lengthy conversation was because he wanted me to show him who I am. Why must I prove to you who I am? You know who I am, I asserted, facing Malachi again. Malachi stumbles away from me. I rush past a huge angel oak tree to follow him. Malachi hops over the tree's slow octopus-shaped branches. He appears to be running away from me. I'm close behind him. A thought pops into my mind. The battle's initiation. Wait, what about the Edom girl? I beg him, jumping over a branch. Malachi halts and turns around to face me. He actually looks calm. Anale is exactly why I followed Vena out here. She is rotting away in the marginal prison and she shouldn't be, Malachi replies. We are standing at the edge of Needham Woods facing my shack. A full moon shines on our faces during the discussion. I possess an item that should assist your friend in the grove. The prison situation isn't an issue, I state, breathing heavily. What is it? Malachi wonders, eagerly moving closer to me. You must trust me. I motioned with my hand for Malachi to follow me. I stopped 5 small branches away from the shack. Stay here. I'll be back. I don't want to wake up Vanna, I say. I tiptoed I tiptoe back to the shack and open the door. Vanna is curled up in her usual fetal position. I grab the parchment I was working on and begin writing again. Now I know who I am writing for. I almost lose track of time until I remember I left the king boy outside. When I finish writing, I cut my finger and press the open wound onto the parchment. The parchment glows the parchment glows violet and then changes back to its original white color. I place it in my cloak and slowly rise from my tree stump to leave my shack. You mustn't tell a single soul, not even your father about your you mustn't tell a you mustn't tell a single soul, not even your father about this paper. I command, handling Malachi the note. You're giving me a piece of paper to give to Annalie? Malachi replies indignantly after opening the note. Trust me, give this to Annalie before the horsemen take her to Methusela's grove, I say. What about the prison? How will I enter with horsemen? How will I enter with horsemen guarding the front? Malachi questions. There is a hidden pathway in the prison. Stand in front of the first E at the depository of evergreen coins. When you look directly down from the E, you will see a small green pebble. You cannot move it unless you circle the pebble three times, and then bend down and whisper, I see you. The pebble will grow into a large rock. The pebble will the pebble will grow into a large rock. Take the rock to the machinal prison. If you place the rock in front of the entrance machinal tree, a door on the right side of the prison will open. You should be able to exit the way you came. Malachi stares at me with his mouth open. I guess the directions might be difficult to remember. Why didn't you why didn't why didn't you write this down for me? Malachi questions. I was correct, the directions were too long, but I don't have time to give him an answer. Venom may, Venom may be waking up soon. I decide to tell him the instructions one more time. Now, if I want to help your friend, you need to remember my instructions, I say, showing Malachi in the direction to the north. I tuck the note in Malachi's pants and watch him whisper the directions repeatedly. He turns away from me and then disappears on the path back home. Okay, that's chapter 7. And now, chapter 8. Annalie Adam, a yearning yucca. The frigid water in Lake Atlantis forces me to wrap my hands together for warmth. My mother's beautiful brown hair falls over her face as she scrubs an emerald suede suit next to me in a tub. I pop the bubbles from the soap and laugh as Bryce tries to lick the suds. Help me put this suit on that bush by the deck to dry, she asks with a smile. I obey and place the suit on the nearby bush by our treehouse. I run back to my mother with Bryce trailing behind. Sweet precious girl, she says as she hugs me close for a moment, but when I pull away to view her face, she disappears. I'm standing alone in front of Lake Andantes. A searing pain shoots through my leg, and I look down. A violet spider is biting my foot. Its leg, its legs shrivel up around my toes. I scream in excruciating pain until I open my eyes in the imaginary prison. The imaginary prison is my life now. The tall stone building has no ceiling, and there is no one imaginary tree in each cell. I'm not I'm not chained to mine right now. But if I misbehave, the horsemen will tie my hands up and secure me to the tree. The the bark of it the bark of the tree is grayish brown, and a sickly sweet odor of the tree's apples lingers in my cell. Horsemen leave poisonous machinal food to tempt you to eat it. I position my body as far away from my tree as possible. Tilting my head towards the open air helps me slightly. If the party decided not to build a roof, the horsemen and prison mates would die immediately from breathing in the toxins. Someone checks in on me every now and then. I can't read the sun for time, but I mark in the dark how long it takes for them to come in and check on me with a stick. It takes about 27 marks in the dark for them to enter. I don't like when the horsemen come in. I assume it's because Leonard once dug a hole to escape the prison. I also draw pictures in the dirt with my fingernail. When I look down at my art, there is a small head, a floppy tail, and the toothy grin of rats. I've only been in the cell for 4 days, and I miss him. I stare ahead, and my sight is fuzzy. I blink several times to moisten my eyes and clear out the toxins in them. I refuse to eat the uneven bread the horsemen left me, because all I smell is the imaginary tree's sap. My, mod- my mother may back out of her initiation and ask the battle to release me. I convince myself not to worry by wiping the hair out of my face and leaning back against my cell's wall. It was just a mistake. My mother will pressure the battle to release me. As I close my eyes, there is a faint shuffling of feet. Hey, you awake? Hey, you awake in there? Smells like skunk cabbage in here, one of the horsemen shouts. I open my eyes. Two horsemen clamber into my cell. Their medium-sized, burly men and their untamed, matted hair under their bulky silver helmets stink of sweat and filth. Horsemen are creatives who gave up. At least that's what I. At least that's what Leonard says. Creatives choose to become a horseman or horsewoman. In return, they are given a hefty amount of evergreen coins from Ellie Linden. However, they must sleep in the prison or wherever they are guarding. I'm fine, you can go now, I mumbled, holding my nose. You implying we smell, girl? The smellier horseman asks. It's gotta be the marginal tree, you know? The skunk cabbage smell? I'm lying, but I need to be, but I need them to leave for my sanity. I'm lying, but I need them to leave for my sanity. Sanity. You need to eat that bread. Strength will do you well in the grove. Maybe later, I reply, still holding my nose. Both of the horsemen grunt as they exit my cell. Leap, leaping lilies! I didn't think they were ever going to leave. I grab a piece of bread and nibble on the corner. It tastes bland. It tastes as bland as dirt. I ignore the marginal fruit. It's pointless. I'm not Leonard who tolerates marginal fruit. According to the horseman, Leonard is immune to the marginal fruit. I break the bread in half and use it as a tool to draw on the ground. Footsteps stomp in the direction. Footsteps stomp in the direction of the front door again. I place my hand over my nose to mask the predictable stench of the horseman. Without glancing up, I murmur, I haven't even reached 27 marks yet. What did you say? A muffled voice says back to me. I stand. It is Malachi. He is holding his nose with a grin. How did you get in here? I whisper. Don't worry about that now. Are you okay? He responds. He walks over to me and checks my arms. I have a few blisters, but it's nothing too serious. Have they made you stand under the tree yet? He questions, continuing to examine my arms. Once, when I first got in the cell, but I've been learning how to interact with the guards. I think there are about 10 horsemen on guard now. Maybe we could grab a poisonous plant and I ask, trailing off move when Malachi slightly moves away from me. He cuts me off by shaking his head. He grabs my hands. I wish I could, but I cannot since the violet spider your mother claimed he's enchanted. His face is blank, and I know he is telling the truth. He would save me if he were able to do it. And when I begin to think that there is no hope, I heave in and out, and my chest feels like it is on fire. The battle always gets there. The battle always gets their way in. I scream. Huge tears falls down my face. My cheeks sting from toxins floating in the air. Your mother decided to join the battle though, remember? Malachi states. I glared, I glare at him through my sobbing. But if the battle didn't ask for a member, I wouldn't be here. I grumble back at him. I choke on a tear and turn away from Malachi. No, it's Methusela's fault. I made this disgusting place, I say, folding my arms. As I continue to cry, Malachi walks up behind me and puts his hand on my shoulders. I have a note from a man claiming to be Phineas Luke. I turn around to face Malachi. My face is gross, I know, but he is my best friend. I know he doesn't care. Phineas Luke? Phineas Luke. Isn't he the immortal man in the creation of Lenore? I reply, wiping my nose on my hand. Yes, he knows the story is real. I guess now that I guess now that we know for sure Metazealous is real, maybe Phineas is real too. Malachi says, shrugging his shoulders. Pekka is Pekka and his Jaga blobs are real too, then I laugh in between tears. No way, Pega is in Lake Atlantis, Malachi replies with a chuckle. He pulls out a yellowish brown paper with nothing written on it. Words, drawings, or pictures are completely absent from the parchment. A scream sounds off in my head. I observe it thoughtfully, and then stare Malachi in the eyes. Are you sure this is the right paper? It's completely blank. He must have given you the wrong one. Yeah, I know. I thought the same thing. He sighs. I believe it will help you, and that's hard for me to say. What do you have to lose if you take it with you? Malachi says, reaching out to grab my arm again. I study Malachi's face for the first time since stopped crying. He nervously shifts from one foot to the other. His eyes are watery and red. Maybe he's on the verge of tears because of me, or maybe it's the toxins. Probably both. I put this I put this in my sack, I say, stuffing the paper inside of my bag. Please come to Lenore, safe. he whispers to me. A deafening thud slams against my door, and I glance up. Three horses barge into my cell. The stench of their unclean bodies nearly forces me to pass out. How in the hell did you break into the prison? Libiku, the lead horseman, questions Malachi. I wanted to say goodbye, Malachi stammers. Libiku and the horsemen surround Malachi and force his hands be. Libiku and the horsemen surround Malachi and force his hands behind his back. Another horseman grabs me and ties me back to the imaginary tree. I scream when my skin touches the bark. Pain seeps through my body. The parchment falls out of my bag and onto the ground in front of the horseman standing in front of me. I struggle to free myself from the tree. They yank Malachi towards the exit. What is this? Libico questions, picking up the paper. His eyes examine it carefully. She likes to draw and paint. She likes to draw and paint, Malachi replies through gritted teeth. Libico studied the paper. He finally tears it into tiny shreds and throws it in my face. I drop my head to avoid looking at him. Try and use it to dry your tears, you little wench, he mutters under his breath. Don't hurt her, Malachi shouts. Malachi's voice sounds far away now. No worries, Methusela will wrap her up. Libico laughs with the horsemen. Their bellowing laughter echoes through the imaginal prison. They slam the door. I fall to my knees. The toxins. The muscles in my back spasm from the toxins. I stare at the little pieces of parchment. He broke into my cell to give me a piece of paper. Now I'm tied to this. Now I'm tied to this stupid tree. I yell. I'm barely able to fight with the tree anymore. I didn't care if anyone could hear me. Malachi brought me paper instead of food or soap or even water. With a little bit of strength I have left in my body, I kick the dirt. Tiny pieces of the paper twirl in the air, drifting and bobbing above my head. The parchment swirls around the imaginary tree. My eyes follow as the pieces fly into my sack and form back together into a single sheet of glowing violet paper. Chapter 9. Annalie Edom, a yearning yuga. A dull throbbing sensation pounds in my head. The raw skin on my arms feels like it is peeling from exposure to the tree's poison. Hopelessness and fatigue flood through my mind and body. I lethargically move my head towards the door when the horsemen enter. Where am I going? I quote. My voice sounds like an old man who swallowed a toad. I need water. I- They ignore me, untying me from the tree. Two horsemen twist my arms behind my back, but my legs wobble and I fall to the ground. A noise alerts me to glance upward. They are wheeling in something. They are wheeling in something. I peer into the shadows of my cell. The mysterious object is a cage. The same cage the battle humiliated Leonard in for trying to escape Lenore. I'm not getting in that cage, I say, rising from the dirt. Adrenaline flows through me, and my voice sounds stronger than before. Here's a hand then, typical her replies, shoving me to the ground again. Then he shovels then he shovels me up from the ground and throws me into the cage. I don't deserve to be in here, I complain, wrapping my hands around the metal poles. They wheel me out of my chinel prison. I breathe in the fresh air. I'll never take clean air for granted again. I'll never take clean air for granted again. The warmth of the sun beats on my arms and face. My skin welcomes the warmth of the sun as it shimmers on my arms and face. Another gift taken for granted. I squint at the light. I squint at the sunlight. I'm in the center of the promenade now, right beside Prometheus's statue. Everyone is staring at me. Anxiety spreads through my heart. Most of the gazes belong to the creatives, of course, planning the entire promenade. The Lindens, Duncans, Kings, Maloney's, and Solars stand next to each other. I'm started to see Malachi. I thought maybe the horsemen locked him up in another cell. For some reason, my eyes stand on Glen Linden. I swear the corner of the I swear the corner of Glenn's bottom lip is twitching. She's laughing at me. Her eyes smile at me like I'm in a Her eyes smile at me like I am a bewildered cage animal. The battle whisper amongst themselves. I search for my mother behind Portia. Her head is cast down. She is wearing a faded black robe, but unlike the others, there is no violet spider in her hair. Why isn't she looking at me? I silently plead with my eyes for her to glance up to acknowledge me. I hope staring at her might work. Mother, I call out to her. After all, what more could the battle do to me now? As soon as I open my mouth again, Venus strides forward and stands in front of my cage. Annalee and the horseman's guests. Annalee and the horseman's quest to Methusela's grove will be about 3 days. She will only have water and unleavened bread to eat. Vena announces to everyone. I glance down at my sack. That's why the horseman let me keep the bag. That's why let that's why the horseman let me keep my bag. Food and water. On behalf of the battle, we would like to thank Annalise mother for her bravery and courage. Thank you for placing the fate of Lenore first. Vena continues, nodding at my mother. Every move, every word, every breath feels surreal. Vienna is talking about me and my mother, not the Duncans or the Lindens, my family and not anyone else's. Vienna pivots towards the battle and walks with them to the arbitrary. My mother covers her face with her hand, trailing behind them. Trailing behind them. Um, okay. Mother, I shout, gripping the post of the cage. Please come back, I scream. My heart aches for her as her hope disappears from my view. How could she leave me? We are family. She refused to even look at me. Tears stream down Tears stream down my face. I fall to the wooden floor of the cage. Through blurry vision, the king struggled and argued with the horseman. When the horseman pulled my cage away from the promenade, I feel my soul give up. Curling myself into a ball in the corner of the cage, I finally fall asleep from exhaustion. I open my eyes to unfamiliar trees. Several chirping noises from bugs and anonymous animals sound off, and the horsemen mutter among themselves as they pull me along the trail. We gotta haul this gal and the cage over the river. One of the horsemen grunts to Libico. What river? I ask, staring through my bars. There are only trees and boulders around us. Evanescence River. You don't know you Evanescence River. You don't know you're in it until the water is 5 small branches over your head. Libico replies. The haunted river disappears if no one has been in it after a couple of days. Libico says, and then he raises an eyebrow at the only horseman not pulling the cage. Kunji, you think you can throw rocks over there to see where the river might be? The river responds to movement, Libico commands. Kunji seems a bit overwhelmed, huffing as he runs in front of the other horsemen, and my cage towards what looks like a riverbed. She tries to pick up a huge rock, but plummets to the ground. Try a smaller rock, Libico suggests. Kunji nods. Why would there be an invisible river in the middle of nowhere? I asked Libico, to block and drown commoners like you and the other people of Lenore from stumbling upon Methusela's grove. Libico says. Gunja throws a reddish-orange rock into the large ditch. Nothing happens. Let's go, man. All clear, Libico states, leading us to the area where Kunji threw the rock. My, mo- my mobile per- my mobile prison jostles and bounces on the rocks and branches underneath the trail, and I lose my balance. The cage's wheels crunch and roll over twigs and pebbles. I glance down to view the riverbed. There are skeletons of random fish and dried up plants. I guess no one has been out here for a long time. The horsemen continue to drag me along, and we are about 6 medium branches from reaching the other side of the riverbed when Kunji stops in his tracks. You hear that, Libiku? He says, placing his hand up to his ear. His right foot trembles as he points to the bank of the ditch. Didn't I tell you to keep pulling the didn't I tell you to keep pulling this guy? Libikus shouts, pointing back at me. The sound of roaring water drowns my ears. I smell the fresh water and mud before the torrential river hits us. Abandoning my cage, the horsemen run in the opposite direction. Purple water bursts into my cage, and I smack the purple water bursts into my cage, and I smack into the back of my metal prison, soaking wet. The water is the water is the same color in the water is the same color in Prometheus' statue after someone throws in an evergreen coin. The only sound I recognize is the horseman's shouts, stifled by the rapid water. Steel helmets float past me, and I wonder if I try to stand up, if my weight will push the cage upright again. A large cracking noise thrusts me forward, and whatever hit the side of my cage triggers even more water to gush into it. A huge boulder collides into the backside of my cage, which may now be my water casket to drown in. The gap is more significant than I thought, and I try to pat. The gap is more significant than I thought, and I try to squeeze past it as the quick river pushes me further down its directed path. I somehow, I somehow escape the cage. I'm able to hold on it. I'm, a, I'm able to hold onto a large branch hovering over the river. I pull myself up on the branch and look down at the treacherous river below me. I have no idea where the river is flowing to, and Libiku, Conchi, and his horsemen are nowhere in sight. I check my sack to make sure the items are dry, but the uneven bread is completely wasted. Strange, the parchment appears as crisp and strong as ever. I crawl down in the branch to the edge of the river bank. Now, how do I get back to the north from here? I pick up a stem from the ground and wrap my hair up in a wet bun. Where am I? I'm not even sure of the time. When I take a step forward, a giant dark figure hovers behind me. A heavy sack flies over my head. Guys. Okay. Chapter 10 of Violet Spiders. Lydia Adam, a Paddle member. The, pur- the purple throne I'm sitting in is as comfortable as I thought it would be. Greens is sticking my fingers. I'm stroking his white fur. Nothing is bothering me at the moment. The arbitrary is empty, but I don't mind. A content smile forms on my lips. No more wish, no more washing dirty clothing or pretending to like that unbearable doctor. I'm more important than Wanda, Bunny, and even Clara now. I'm better than Clara now, I whisper to Greens. For my entire life, I craved to be a part of the battle, but I never thought I would ever be given the opportunity. What about What about Annalay? A little nagging voice questions my conscience. I bite my lip after thinking about Annalay's terrified scream. The horrifying way she called out for me. I'm certain if I look into my daughter's eyes, I might have changed my mind. I would have never joined the battle. Even if I change my mind now, the deed is done. The violet spider belongs to me. I am not even sure how I had a baby. Annalie's father was a quick romance, a charmer who slithered his way into my heart. My daughter acts like washing clothes is beneath her. My daughter acts like washing clothes is beneath her. My mother washed clothes too. It was in her blood. Washing and sewing clothes is just what Edoms do. I place my hand on my heart. The dark organ beats fast, but radiates no emotion. There is no fear, anger, or pain. Am I truly Annalie's mother? It didn't matter. It didn't matter. For the first time in my life, I finally earned the right to be loved and adored. I desire for my Baobab chamber to be right beside Venus. Green licks my fingers again, and I scratch behind his ears. You are privileged now too, I say to him with a smile. Has your Prater membership even given you the ability to talk to your dog? Vena questions abruptly. She pops her hand out of the decorated door of the Baobab lair. My dog understands me. I respond dryly, looking down at Greens. Vena strolls out of the Baobab lair with a black robe draped over her hands. I have a hole in my robe. Sew this for me, Vena commands, shoving the robe into my hands. But I thought the but I thought those duties were Wanda and Timber's responsibility now, I reply, grinding my teeth. Since I joined the battle, the only real luxury I received was allowing Greens in the arbitrary, and I was allowed to sit and sleep on Venus' throne. I've never entered the Bamboo Lair. Well, you are right here in front of us, readily able to sue. We didn't want to send a horseman to bother Wanda, she replies. Where should I sue? I grumble, rising from the throne with her robe in my hand. Gwen hops off my lap. You can come. You can come in the Baobab there. We need you to fix holes in all our robes, except for Tori's. Your dog can stay outside. Bena states. She motions for me to enter the Baobab lair and then closes the door behind her. Behind her. I ignore the fact that Vena almost slams the door in my face. I place my hand on the tree knob. My heart flutters as I open the sacred door. The scent of the scent of sweet alizum engulfs my lungs and nostrils. The room's beautiful. Three three of the four women sit at a large round table. Loud babbling from the women fill every crevice throughout the baobab lair. The Pado's sec- the Pado's sanctuary is precisely how I imagine it. There is a baobab tree in each corner of the room, decorated to each woman's taste. Vanna's tree is baby blue inside with long silk curtains draped on the outside of the entrance. Portia's space has small baby turtle shells surrounding a hunter green doorway. I almost fall over when Adara shoves her robe into my stomach. Mine needs teaching too, Adara mutters with a scowl. Adorned in a long, fiery red dress, Adara matches her vermilion-colored baobab chamber. As I grab the as I grab the rope from Adara, Adara's violet spider catches my attention. The repulsive creature stares at me with intrigue. My mouth drops open. I'm shocked by the horrid thing. I didn't know the nasty creatures have their own personalities. The arachnid resting in my bun hasn't moved from the spot where Vena pinned him. I reach up to touch one of the spider's legs. It feels limp and lifeless. Your little monster will start crawling around when Anale is in the grove. He's like my little pet. Adara responds after reading my expression. Adara brushes the spider's abdomen, hidden in her frizzy hair, and it instinctively nips back, biting her finger. Wretched beast, Adara whispers under her breath. Then she glares at me. Have you forgotten how to sew clothing? Retrieve the items you need in Tori's baobab room, Adara notes, pointing to Tori's chamber. I walk to the back of the lair towards Tori's area. When I arrive, Tori is sewing. A small thimble is in her hand. Her fingers shake while she holds a piece of black thread up to the eye of the needle. The needle slips out of Tori's hand. You scared me, Tori says, holding her hand to her chest. I didn't know you sew clothing as well, I reply, walking closer to Tori. I only fix the holes in my robes. The other women must fend for themselves, she says, smirking at me. Oh, is there any way I can borrow a needle and some thread? I question. I suddenly remember the reason I came into her room. Tori nods. I look down at Tori's table and her violet spider peers at me from a glass bowl. Fear, str- fear, fear soars through my heart. The violet spiders are peculiar. I glance around the chamber. Tori's room is soft pink. Tori's room is soft pink, arrayed with several collections of elegant, fragile tea sets. A painting of a small girl with rosy cheeks is propped up on Tori's shelf. The girl is smiling and seems friendly. Who is that? I question, pointing to the picture. Tori's smile vanishes as her eyes follow my finger. Tori's head snaps down to her robe, and she fiddles through her drawer. She grabs a silver thimble and a spool of thread with a needle in it and throws them in my face. Here are the items you needed. You can go now, Tori commands, refusing to look at me. I have, I have, I upset Tori, the only person in the battle, except Portia, who seems somewhat human. As I exit Tori's room, Portia glowers at me from the entrance of her chamber. I bet Portia witnessed Tori getting upset. You may be excited to be a member of our group, but there are a few rules you need to understand. Portia warns with her hands on her hips. Don't ask any don't ask us anything about our past or who we gave up. She continues. I didn't know, I stammer. That's why I'm telling you now. If we had our way, we wouldn't have another person added to the battle. We don't run things around here. Methusela and Prometheus do, Portia says. Well, mainly Methusela, Adara adds, stepping into the conversation with a huff. I frown. I cannot do anything right. Here, here, have a seat at the table. You can finish sewing here. You can finish sewing there, Portia requests, grabbing my arm and directing me to the table in the middle of the lair. Portia hands me a goblet of Portia hands me a goblet full of green juice. Here, drink this. It will ease your nerves. Here, drink this. It will ease your nerves, Portia says. The slimy drink tastes like mashed up fish eyes with prunes, dirt, and honey. To avoid of- to avoid offending anyone else, I gulp down the rest of the sickening juice. I nearly choke up. I nearly choke on the chunks in the liquid. I glance up. I glance up. Venna is admiring herself in front of a large mirror with a gold frame. When we feel the earth shake, Anale is on Mitozela's premises, Venna says, smiling at Adara through the mirror behind her. I wonder how close she is now, I respond in a dull tone, staring blankly into space. Ah, that's chapter 10 of Violet Spiders of Methusela's Graph.